Hello there YouTube, it's Roby3, and I'm back with another kicking graphic novel review. Today we're looking at more HENSHIN hero stuff, specifically the Massive Verse. It's Image Comics' kind of Western HENSHIN hero universe, and their version of Super Sentai is Radiant Black. Super Sentai is even referenced in this book directly. But yeah, it's very, very cool. Radiant Black is the foundation of the Massive Verse from Image Comics, and I'm very happy to continue reading it, because you know HENSHIN heroes are one of our favorite things on this channel. Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Metal Heroes, you name it, we got it. So, let's check this out. This is Radiant Black, Volume 2. Alright? Radiant Black, Volume 2, Team Up. This is when the Sentai team of theirs kind of starts to come together. Let me read you the back of the book. Cosmic forces have arrived on Earth, desperate to reclaim the Radiance, and the only thing standing in their way is Radiant Black and his unexpected new allies. And afterwards, as time passes and Lockport begins to heal, Marshall makes a dramatic choice that sends him to a place beyond imagination, and just might change everything. Again. For fans of Invincible and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comes the thrilling second volume of the book by acclaimed writer Kyle Higgins, who wrote Ultraman and Cal, and artist Marcelo Costa, that reinvents superheroes for a new generation. From Image Comics, collects Radiant Black 7 through 12, plus supplementary material rated T for teen. Now, I really enjoyed this book. It was quite good. So the Radiance, Black, who's really blue, but we're going to call him Black, Pink, Red, and Yellow all have to face against this other Radiant-looking guy who's glitching out with many colors, and they don't know it yet. This is a big spoiler, but his abilities feed off of theirs. So he's being powered up while he fights the Radiants, and he wants to kill them because that's the only way to separate a Radiant from somebody, for them to die. Oops. And he wants to kill them so he can take these Radiants back to space, because the Radiants being here will doom the planet, and there's this big intergalactic war going on. And I actually haven't read far enough into Radiant Black to fully explain it, but since it's not fully explained in this volume, I wouldn't fully explain it to you anyway. Whatever, this dude is kicking their butts. We see that Radiant Yellow has a kind of Garnet-esque future vision. We see that Radiant Pink can teleport people. It takes a lot out of her, but they teleport to Japan, and some people say, what Sentai team is that? You know, whatnot. I like that they all have a cool, unique power. It really reminds me a lot of Power Rangers SPD. Like, in a lot of Ranger teams and Sentai teams, the individual Rangers all have their own weapons, and they'll also all each have unique powers to an extent. Sometimes, not all the time with the powers, but they always have the unique weapons. But in Power Rangers SPD, they had powers before they became Rangers. Like, they all already had superpowers for a reason that is revealed later in that show. And it kind of feels like that, especially since the SPD Rangers really didn't get along at first, which neither did these guys. And SPD is one of my favorite seasons, if not my favorite season. I usually mark Dino Thunder as my favorite, but who knows? Anyhow, they teleport around and they see some robots. Red and Yellow stop this guy, but then he gets unstopped because he absorbs their power. We see a lot of good bonding between Black and Pink while they're in Russia teleporting around, because this guy that's chasing them, he can also teleport. And we see some others take cool new forms. Because remember I said in the last volume that Radiant Black has a cool form where he gets a cape and stuff. And we get to see the new forms of Red and Yellow. And Red's form is like a big, juggernauty, Hulkbuster Iron Man kind of look, which she did take on in Volume 1, but I didn't really mention it. But she does take that on again in this. And then Radiant Yellow's is actually very interesting. It's like a bunch of energy-like heads surrounding him, which I assume just helps him see, like, predict all the attacks and everything so that he can't be touched and whatnot. And which is a very visually interesting form, but wouldn't make a good action figure. Because his body is basically the same. Though I suppose there could be like an energy effect of the heads that you put him on that's like a big stand or something. I guess that could work. Oh, B3, nobody cares about the action figure perspective. I do. I want action figures of all of them. All of these characters. The villain too. I want all 4 Radiants. I want the villain. I want Inferno Girl Red. I want Rogue Sun. Give them all to me. Okay? I want them all. The Massiveverse has great designs and they'll fit in so well with my other figures. And then this big Ex Machina robot arm comes out of Radiant Black's chest and drags the villain to an unknown space. And there's part of me that thinks this guy who's fighting them might end up being their quote-unquote 6th Ranger. I know there's only 4 Radiants right now, but you know how Sentai teams will often get that bonus Ranger, like Abba Killer or something? I think he might end up being theirs, and I'll show you the evidence for that later. But Marshall's life is like not going super well. He's not great at being Radiant Black. He's decent at taking down supervillains, but when it comes to the more everyday stuff that a superhero helps with, he's really not very good at it. His life isn't going super well. He teams up with a podcast because PR for him is really bad. Because, you see, when Nathan, the original Black, kind of sacrificed his life to save all the people in those buildings, the powers went to Marshall, and then Marshall flew off with them, and because he was like distraught and stuff, and to the people, it kind of seemed like Radiant Black left Nathan to die from outside, even though that's not what happened. But Nathan's parents, they're kind of going to pull the plug, but Marshall figures out that Nathan is still in there and that the Radiant can help pull him out. So he goes into this really cool, colorful, Tron-like world to talk to this alien who is seemingly the entity, this big robot entity that gives them their powers. And they put him in this place called existence. And there's only truth in existence, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that villain they dragged in is in there, and he's supposed to act as a guide because he's now trapped in existence. And there's this very cool spirally page. It's kind of a spread. It doesn't translate well in the digital version of the comic. Definitely check it out. But this issue gets to a lot of the core of Marshall's character, but also it's just beautiful. The colors and everything are absolutely insane. And I'm not going to tell you all about the truth in existence, but I will tell you that he does get Nathan's soul and mind back into his body. So he awakens, but once again, there's another misunderstanding because of Radiant Black. So Marshall has been there literally every day, spent hours with Nathan every day that he's been in this coma, and he's been in it a while at this point. But Marshall runs out because he realizes a way to save Nathan's life, but to Nathan's parents and friends, it kind of just looks like Marshall's bailing. Kind of looks like he's not going to be there for his dying friend. But that's not the case. And luckily, Nathan knows that. But see, while Marshall was in existence, time didn't work the way it was supposed to. He was gone for a while. He lost his job. He wasn't around for Nathan when he woke up for weeks. And his parents noticed that. And Nathan's trying to cover for him. He's just not really good at being Radiant Black. But I mean, he couldn't have helped this. He saved Nathan's life, and he gave up pretty much his whole life. Not his actual life, but his job and his relationships. He gave it all up to save Nathan. And you gotta respect that. That's what a hero does, you know? Anyway, they fight this sound lady again. She's cool. I like her a lot. I think she makes a really good sympathetic villain. Not all villains are sympathetic, because we're going to talk about Shift later, and he's not sympathetic. But I think comics that have a good mix of sympathetic villains and also villains that you don't really feel sympathy for are pretty good. And then some villains can be so heinous that they were sympathetic but move beyond it. We also get an origin for Radiant Pink. She was a streamer, and it didn't work out. Her life was kind of crumbling. A microphone broke, and it made her whole life crumble, and she's insecure about her job. She feels like she's not doing anything meaningful. But Radiant Yellow finds her, gives her the Radiant, and she learns to be Radiant Pink. Huzzah! So that's just a nice little origin for Radiant Pink. I'm sure we'll get a little one for Yellow in the next volume. I think I have the next volume, but haven't read it. I'll have to double check. But there's a beautiful cover gallery in the back. Like the covers for the Massive Verse are insanely gorgeous. They really lean into the colors, and the art as a whole for the Massive Verse is amazing. But then in the back of this book, there's something called Marshall's School of Business, which is like a little bonus comic. And a lot of the faces in it are really ugly. Really ugly. And then, of course, we also got the Read Radiant Guide, which shows you what the alien letters correspond to in our language. And it's a very good book. Oh, I do have Volume 3. It's right there staring me in the face. Okay, so I will be reading Volume 3 soon, and I'll get back to you with that. But we're going to have more Henshin Hero and Kaiju stuff before then, probably, because I want to do Shift, Supermassive, Inferno Girl Red, and some Godzilla Rivals as well. And that'll all probably be done before this next Radiant Black volume. So you'll have to subscribe. Uh-oh. Sorry. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.